And now to the Butler Bulldogs. Jeff Voris, fourth year, 6-5 last year, 7 on offense, come back, 8 on defense. Matt Cobley, 66% passing, 23 touchdowns compared to 7 INTs. He also had almost 500 yards rushing, which is a plus. Running back Scott Gray was injured last year, and he was the leading rusher in 07, so he's back. And Dan Borer, almost 1,000 yards, 30 yards shy of that, and 11 touchdowns. So they have the three-headed monster right there on offense.
The Butler offense starts with Matt Cobley. This guy is a tremendous quarterback, super efficient, accurate with the football, doesn't make mistakes. He's a real good player. You know, Butler's going to ride his coattail as well, just like Jacksonville will ride, you know, the quarterback out there with McGregor. But Butler's team, they have to improve that running attack. They have to get more production. You look at Hitchcock, you know, 4.5 yards a carry as a team. I think they're going to ride their running back a little bit more. The offensive line, 4 offensive starters return, so they got a veteran group, and that should, you know, keep Butler's offense moving, chugging along.
Donnie Gilmore, the offensive guard, look out for him. Defensive side of the ball, Derek Guggenberger, the linebacker, 85 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 tackle for loss, and strong safety Spencer Somerville headlines the defense.
Grant Hunter, defensive end, 14 sacks last season, lives in the backfield, tear off the end. They gave up 24 points a game. That's the reason why they struggled, you know, last season. Butler has to improve that. They have to, you know, lean on that veteran secondary because all 4 starters return. So if they can get some pass rush up front more from Hunter and somebody else on the other side can step up, they're going to be fine. The defense is going to look to get after the quarterback and create more havoc like they did last season.
The Marist Red Foxes, led by Jim Parody, his 18th year, 4-7 last year, pretty disappointing. 6 on offense, 10 on defense. Chris Dabowski will battle Tommy Riley, but 6 returning wide receivers, including James Lamacchia, who had 15 yards per catch last season. 3 returning offensive linemen on that line.
Well, the offensive line looks to keep improving with those 3 returning starters. My question is, who's going to play running back? They need a running back. They need to find one in the worst way. Chris Dabowski, 49% completion percentage, 9 interceptions. That has to improve. He has to get better. But question at quarterback, question at running back, you know, that's a big problem right there for Maris.
On defense, strong safety, Rory Foley, great all-around numbers, 83 tackles, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups, and 7 picks. And linebacker Kevin Foley also on the mix on that day.
If you want to complete passes, you just face Maris. 68% completion percentage. That pass defense has to pick it up. Rory Foley, another talented secondary person, strong safety guy that can come up and lay the power on opposing running backs and receivers. Also could catch picks. 7 interceptions last season. One thing about Maris, they have a tough slate of road games. You know, they're at Dayton, at San Diego, at Bucknell, at Morehead State. That's a murderous row. They have to do better on defense, and they have to find some holes on offense. So overall, you know, they have a lot of holes.
The Foleys can't do it all.
Right, can't do it. They can't do it all.
The Davidson Wildcats, probably known as a basketball school, huh? Trip Merritt, 5th year, 4-7 last year, 5 on offense returns, 6 on defense. They lose Ryan Alexander, their quarterback, but running backs Kenny Mantuo and Justin Williams are back. 4 returning offensive linemen is a plus. But their offense struggled last year. Went from 27 points per game in 07 to only 20 points per game last year.
Well, with those 4 offensive linemen returning, they're going to need that because they're bringing in a new quarterback, new running back, new wide receiver. Across the board, their whole skill position are looking to be a lot of new faces. So they're going to need that offensive line to protect those guys as they get time to break in and gel together. You look at, you know, the receivers. I like Andrew Aldridge, you know, 578 yards receiving. My question is, who's going to play quarterback?
Defensive side of the ball, Tyler Lemons, their leading tackler, returns, and Brandon Sykes needs to step up in the secondary.
Secondary will have a lot of newbies, so you expect to drop off with that secondary. They gave up 25 points a game. That defense has to improve. Daniel Hoff, 10 TFLs, defensive end. He's another guy that plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. If you look at the Pioneer Football League, every team has a defensive player that can make plays, and so Hoff is a guy that can make plays for this team, but I just need them total to try to improve on defense.
Let's get defensive in this division. Another Bulldogs, the Drake Bulldogs, led by Chris Creighton, 2nd year, 6-5, 6 on offense, 7 on defense back. Zerkowski, Badanovich and Piatkowski will battle for the QB position. Pat Oliver, their leading rushers, back. Stephen Playtech, Spencer Cady are back, and Pat Cashmore will push Pat Oliver for the starting running back slot.
Well, the O-line is the best unit on that team, led by center Quinn McVay and guard Eric Moore. Those guys lead that offensive unit while they play around with the quarterback position, whoever's musical chairs he was going to start. So that's the question mark on that team. The running back, there's a lot of depth. All those guys can play. They're going to use a platoon system this year. So until they find a quarterback, that's going to keep Drake in the back.
On defense, tackle Andrew Asbell and defensive end Dane Taylor, 3.1 yards per carry last year they gave up. Can they keep that up?
Well, in that 4-2-5, you put a lot of defensive backs on the field, a lot of guys with speed, so they have to improve that. They've only given up 17.8 points a game, so that's impressive, 3.1 yards per carry. So they really will stout against the run. Secondary, it's going to be a makeshift unit as they start to move some pieces around, try to figure out who belongs where and what's going to be their best strength. So let's hopefully they can get that stuff straightened out there, Drake. I do like the fact that all 4 defensive starters return on the defensive line. Dane Taylor, a really good player.
And let's move on to the Valpo Crusaders. That's Valparaiso. Stacey Adams, 5th year, 3-8 last season. Disappointing. 5 back on offense, 5 back on defense. Matt Upshaw, their quarterback. Ross Weiner and Jake Rydell, running backs. And 4 of their top receivers are back, which is good, but they have an inexperience on offensive line. Only 2 starters back there.
Ross Weiner is a really good running back, shifty guy. 800 yards last season, 10 touchdowns, 5.8 yards a carry. He can really move, make people miss. I like him as Valpo. They're going to lean more. They're more of a running team, so they lean more on this guy and lean more on the backup running backs to come in to spell him. So I like their running game. The depth they have at running back is a plus. They go 4 deep, so they're going to run the ball and come at you with that run each and every day. 3 new starters on the offensive line. That's a big uh-oh.
Defensive side of the ball was an issue last season. 31 points per game last year they gave up, and 5 yards per carry. They need to stop the run, stop the scoring. Defensive end Adam Rund is back, and defensive tackle Nico Carson. It should start with them up front.
Well, they got a really good secondary. They got 2 good corners, and Kyle Hemmenwright, 4 interceptions last season, and also Anthony Curry, who had 7 interceptions. So they can get some interceptions back there. Like you said, the defensive line has to improve. Over 200 yards rushing a game, atrocious. You're not going to beat anybody if they can run the ball on you at will each and every Saturday. So they have to improve that if they want to be successful in this league. But they do have a workman-like linebacking core. These guys come to work every day, bring their lunch pail, real good group. A bunch of no-name guys, but they show up every Saturday and make a lot of plays. Defensive line has to improve.
The Fighting Camels of Campbell. Dale Steele, 1-10 last year. 21 returning starters, which is an actual thing to look forward to for the Camels. Matt Villano is their quarterback. C.J. Oates, a running back, and Kelvin Murphy is their receiving threat.
Well, they only scored 8 points a game last season, and last year was their first year of football in almost 50 years. So welcome back, Campbell. But the thing is, now that you're here, you have to produce. All 5 offensive linemen return. Problem is, that unit gave up a lot of sacks. So hopefully, this is 2nd year as a group. So hopefully they improve. So you're going to see the sacks decrease. You're going to see, a lot more production out that group. Quarterback Matt Villano, 3 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Yikes.
You mentioned the 8 points per game on offense. On defense, they're giving up 40 points per game. So I know it's a rebuilding, big transition for the Camels, but first teamer Milton Brown, linebacker, great all-around stats, 85 tackles, 5 stops in the backfield, sacks and tackles for loss, 4 passes broken up, and 3 on INTs.
You're breaking my heart, Tyler. 40 points a game? Oh, man. It's killing me. What they do have is a dynamite free safety in Dante Washington. That guy, 6 interceptions, maybe one of the most underrated safeties in the country. You're going to see him pop up on a lot of All-American lists. This guy can get his hands on the football, always around the ball, everywhere on the field. He's a really good player for the Camels. Now, Milton Brown, 85 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 interceptions. It's a real solid linebacker. So they have some surprise talent on that team to say they hadn't played football in 50 years. I like the way that program is going. They got a new stadium. They're going to give them 3 years. They're going to be in the mix.